My work in general, in terms of like the sculpture that I do, is mostly performance based and video based. I do work dealing with themes of intimacy and relationships and the kind of consequences of getting close to people. And I use video and performance as my medium usually, and I use materials that kind of destroy themselves or break down over time as a visual metaphor, so like ice or wax. This one is called At Both Ends, and my partner and I held our hands underneath a candle that is lit at both ends, and had the wax drip on us until the candle falls at the end. Last semester I was part of the iron pour workshop, where we had people come up from Salem Artworks, which is a artists collective organization in Salem, New York, and they came down for a couple days, and we had an iron pour workshop. And basically means pouring melted iron into a mold and casting an iron object. So I made these. This was a relief made in clay, and I was thinking about iron and what it meant. And I was thinking about, looking online, the history of iron and what it's used for. I thought it was interesting how all like lucky horseshoes are made of iron. So I was going with this idea of like the horse's shoe, but like inverse of that. So instead of like the typical horseshoe shape, it's like a horse's hoof print. So I was going for that. It would have been cool to like get an actual horse to step in clay and do that, but there were no horses around at that time. When I really started making all this work about relationship was when I was in a relationship, and I was also like trying to understand my own issues with that relationship, with the same partner who I did the documentary with. So when we broke up, she had kept a toothbrush in my room that like whenever she came up she would use, and when we broke up she didn't take it, and I couldn't ever get rid of it, because it just felt like this point of entry that she could always come back to. So I just like never got rid of it. I like had this like whole connection, like this fetishization of this toothbrush, and I felt like I couldn't get rid of it until I could understand it and use it my hang up on it. So I've used it in a couple pieces where I've encased it in ice. So I did a casting of it in iron, and then jumping off that idea of like artifacts from relationships or evidence of like people, things that are significant. So this is from my current relationship. This is my girlfriend's contact lens case. I don't know if you recognize like the owl kind of thing. The ears snapped off a little bit after like I've definitely moved more and more into the computer and using my camera for photography and video. I like making things, I just don't do it often, or it doesn't necessarily relate as well to the work that I do.